ever just, stumble across something, a product, maybe a trend, and think, wait, where did this actually come from? How does something go from being like a local secret to this thing everyone's talking about? Well, today, we're going to do exactly that. We're taking a deep dive into something called Kulolo. Now, for those of you who follow the exotic cannabis scene, that name probably rings a bell. We're going to trace Kulolo's whole journey, its evolution really, from its specific roots in Hawaii, all the way to becoming this lifestyle brand that's making noise way beyond the Bay Area. It's a pretty cool story, actually. We've pulled together info from articles, genetic background checks, market buzz, all that stuff.
And it's fascinating because this isn't just about your one particular plant. What we're really looking at here is how tradition, some smart innovation, and honestly really clever branding can all come together. By the end, you'll get not just what Kulolo is, but why its story is such a great example of how culture and markets shift these days. It's almost like a little blueprint.
Exactly. So our mission here is to unpack that whole evolution for you, from an island-grown cultivar to this name everyone recognizes in the Bay Area's exotic flower world, and now kind of blowing up elsewhere. We'll dig into the specific genetics, the branding moves that really pushed it forward, and that whole island candy vibe that seems to have, well, really grabbed people's attention. So let's get into it. Okay, so the origin story. Kulolo didn't just pop up out of thin air, right? It had to start somewhere. Where did it come from? Who cooked this up?
Yeah, it traces back to the hills in Hawaii. The creators were 808 Genetics. And these guys aren't just random growers. They're kind of legendary over there, known for creating some really interesting high-quality stuff. They had a vision for a particular profile.
Right, and the genetics themselves are pretty specific. It's a cross, okay? Forum cookies, cherry pie, wedding cake, and Crippy BX2. And that Crippy BX2 part, for anyone wondering, that means it's a second-generation back cross. It's a technique growers use to really lock in certain traits from an older respected strain. So it's a very intentional breeding.
Deliberate. Not just throwing things together.
Definitely not. And the name Kulolo, that wasn't random either, was it?
No, not at all. And this is where it gets really interesting from a cultural and sensory angle.
Yeah.
The strain has this profile, right? Sweet taro, creamy coconut notes, but also those distinct gas undertones.
Right, that pungent, fuel-like smell that people really look for.
Exactly. And that combination directly inspired the name. Kulolo is that traditional Hawaiian dessert, chewy, sweet.
Ah, okay. So the name is the flavor profile, basically.
Pretty much. And that's brilliant, isn't it? 808 Genetics didn't just make a plant. They engineered an experience with a story built right in, choosing those parent strains, cookies, pie, cake that immediately tells you something. Dessert flavors, rich, complex.
Stuff that's already super popular.
Totally. And then linking it directly to a Hawaiian tradition with the name Kulolo. It gives it roots, sense of place, and identity from day one. It's like you can almost taste it just hearing the name. It's great product development, really.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, so it starts in Hawaii, great genetics, killer name. But how does it jump the Pacific? How does this island gem get from there to, the super competitive scene in Northern California? That's a big leap.
It is, and it wasn't like some big corporate launch.
Right, I gathered that. So how did it happen? Well, seems like around 2021, maybe late 2020, cuts, clones or small plants started quietly making their way from Hawaii to NorCal. It was more underground, driven by people searching for the next unique thing.
Okay, so not a commercial flight, more like a secret passage.
Sort of, yeah. And once it landed here, it found the right people pretty quick. These Bay Area pheno-hunters.
The treasure seekers of the cannabis world.
Exactly. These dedicated growers who are always searching for that standout genetic expression. They got a hold of it and they locked it in, as they say. They started growing out these really distinct phenotypes, especially those with that purplish candy look. They saw the potential right away.
And how was it received initially? Did it make a splash?
Oh, yeah. Apparently, these phenos started showing up at, underground pop-ups in Oakland and Richmond, and they definitely turned heads. It wasn't just another strain on the menu. People started talking about it, whispering. It built this kind of connoisseur buzz pretty fast.
Word-of-mouth marketing at its finest.
Totally. And that whole island candy vibe, the unique terpenes, the look, it just fit perfectly with what was already happening in the Bay Area's exotic flower market.
Right. The Bay has always valued that unique, high-quality, kind of flashy profile.
Exactly. It slotted right in, like it was meant to be there.
And connecting that to the bigger picture, you see a couple of things. First, The huge importance of those pheno-hunters. They're like the curators, finding and validating these new strains, grassroots style.
Yeah, they're crucial gatekeepers in a way.
Definitely. And second, the fact that the island candy thing resonated so well shows how crucial market fit is. It wasn't forced. It tapped into something the Bay Area scene already wanted. It found its niche perfectly.
Okay, so it finds its niche, gets popular, people are hyped. But
Yeah.
that's still just a strain, right? How does it go from being the hot strain to, by mid-2024, its own lifestyle brand? That's another big step.
That's where the strategy comes in. It wasn't just luck.
Right, so who made that happen? What did they do? It seems a small collective in the Bay Area saw the bigger picture. They realized Kulolo wasn't just flour, it was like a whole vibe and experience waiting to be packaged. So they consciously decided to spin it off into its own brand.
Smart move.
Yeah.
How did they build that identity?
Visually, they nailed it. Their Instagram presence became really distinctive. The bio was simple, home of the Kulolo Terps. But the feed, wow, it was like scrolling through a digital candy shop, really bright, colorful Mylar bags, these gorgeous kind of dreamy photos of the jars, soft islandy aesthetics. It just pulled you in. Each post felt like a little visual treat.
Making the digital experience match the product promise.
Exactly. And the early product drops weren't just labeled, they were named. Things like Silky Kulolo, Wild Cherry Colada, Cookies, and Creme.
Sound delicious just listing them.
Right. Each name set a mood. It felt less like buying cannabis and more like getting a little micro vacation, a taste of something exotic.
Creating desire beyond just the effect.
Totally. And they played the scarcity game really well, too. Small batches, numbered jars.
The limited edition tactic.
Yep. It kept the hype focused, made people feel like they were getting something exclusive, almost collectible. Very smart psychology.
It really is. And this gives you, the listener, a real insight into differentiation. In a market that's so crowded, how do you stand out? Kulolo's whole philosophy, you see slogans like flavors over fakes, terps over everything.
Yeah.
That's not just talk, it's a promise. Quality, authenticity.
Setting a standard.
Precisely. And that candy store energy they created, with the nostalgic design touches, the taro purples, the coconut creams, sticker packs that feel like old-school collectibles.
Yeah, I saw someone compare them to Pokemon cards.
Exactly. That turns every purchase into getting a collector's piece.
Yeah.
It taps into that desire for unique, tangible things, for being part of something special. They weren't just selling weed. They were selling a feeling, a collectible experience.
It's clear they understood that connection people want. Okay, so they build this amazing brand, this unique appeal. What's the result? How far does this island candy thing actually travel? Does it stay a Bay Area phenomenon?
Well, the evidence suggests definitely not.
Okay. What did you find? Empty Kulolo bags started showing up everywhere, like on menus in Washington, D.C., at pop-ups in New York City.
Wow, coast to coast.
And even across the pond. It started making noise in the UK cannabis scene, too, which is pretty discerning. Their reputation just spread like wildfire.
That's impressive reach for what started so locally.
It really is.
Yeah.
But here's the interesting part. Even with all that growth, they seem to stick to their guns, that core identity. The candy gas flavors, the focus on terps, that sort of persistent Bay Area hustle. It didn't get diluted. They maintained the quality and the vibe.
They scaled the identity with the brand, not watered it down.
Exactly.
And that brings us to their philosophy, which they actually state quite clearly. Not hype, heritage.
Oh.
That's powerful. It says, we're not just chasing the latest trend. They're consciously building on that original island legacy, but translating it for today's culture.
Bringing the past into the present.
Right. There's this phrase they use, island vibes meet trap motion, which perfectly captures it, I think. You've got the tradition, the relaxed island feel, meeting this modern, energetic, entrepreneurial street culture vibe. Trap motion implies that drive, that hustle.
Interesting fusion.
It really demonstrates that if you have authenticity, a clear vision, and you stick to your quality, you can achieve that wider recognition without selling out. It's about evolving your roots, not abandoning them.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. We've basically followed Kulolo from its very specific genetic origins, that mix of forum cookies, cherry pie, wedding cake, and Crippy BX2 from 808 Genetics in Hawaii. Then watched it travel, get refined by those dedicated Bay Area pheno-hunters. Right.
And finally, blossoms into this lifestyle brand that's recognized way beyond California. It's quite the journey.
A real case study.
Yeah, Kulolo's story is more than just about a plant. It really shows how heritage, smart innovation, and just really careful, clever branding can turn a local gem into something known globally. And crucially, they did it while staying true to that terps over everything idea. It proves that story and quality can be incredibly powerful.
Absolutely. And this deep dive hopefully shows you how combining a unique flavor profile, that taro coconut gas thing, with the right look, the right story, how that creates a genuine connection and maybe makes you think a bit more about the stories behind the things you see every day, and how this kind of cultural exchange, when done thoughtfully, can really enrich traditions and create something new and exciting. So, as you go about your week, maybe keep this in the back of your mind. How many other island candies are out there? Products, maybe even ideas or movements, just waiting to make that quiet journey from local roots to global awareness. Driven by passion, careful work, and a story that resonates. Makes you wonder what other hidden gems are just waiting for their moment, doesn't it?
It really does.
Join us next time for another deep dive.